Well, hello, I'm David Freeman with Is That Really in the Bible? I want to ask you a question. What has Jesus done for you lately? You know, I found that it depends on the person that you ask. If you ask the atheist, if you ask the unbeliever, if you ask the ungrateful person, that person would probably say, well, God, Jesus hasn't done very much for me lately at all. But if you ask a Christian, what has Jesus done for you lately? They would say things like, well, Christ died for my sins. They might quote Romans 5 and verse 10 that says, for if when we were enemies, in other words, when we were enemies of God, we were reconciled to God by the death of His Son, much more being reconciled, we shall be saved by His life. And so a Christian would say, well, because Jesus is a living high priest that we can daily go to, because you know, even after you receive the Spirit of God at baptism, we still make mistakes because we're human and we trip up, we are tempted and yield to temptation often. So we still make mistakes even after we receive the Spirit of God. So we have to have a daily high priest that we go to, that we say, Father, I screwed up again, I did it again. And Jesus turns to the Father and says, Father, forgive him. You know, I've lived out a 33 and a half year in the flesh. I know what that's like. I know how tough it can be. I know what it's like to face death. I know what it's like to face temptation. And so since the struggle is great, Lord, you know, forgive him, Father. So we have a living high priest. But I want to talk about today what I'm going to call the greatest sacrifice. Now, I admit, you know, his life for ours is a great sacrifice. He died in our place. Yes, he died in our place. And we deserved it. Here we were on a self-destructive road that, had it not been for Christ, we would just simply self-destruct. Okay, and the end of society would come about. There would be no flesh saved alive. But because Christ died for us, He has given us an opportunity to be rescued from ourselves, from that man in the mirror, from that monster inside of us, to be rescued from self. Yes. But, you know, if you look at Jesus coming to this earth and dying for our sins as the only sacrifice that He made, you will be missing much about what Jesus has done for you, what Jesus did for you. In order to understand God's love for you, you must understand what I'm going to call the greatest sacrifice.